General Hospital Spoilers reveal that a stunning shockwave is reverberating through Port Charles, ignited by a single, unexpected moment at an otherwise ordinary airport. Jason, long considered the heart of unshakable stoicism and impenetrable loyalty, found himself face to face with what appeared to be a ghost, Britt. The very Britt he and so many others had mourned. Believed to be lost forever at the hands of a vicious serial attacker known as the Hook. Her sudden reappearance, unconfirmed, unexplained, and impossibly real, has upended everything. In just a fleeting glance, one that seemed to freeze time itself, a dormant chapter has been forcefully reopened. But this isn't just the story of a woman returning from the dead. It is the spark that threatens to dismantle Jason's already fragile hold on his current reality and expose him to the chaos he tried so hard to suppress since his return to Port Charles. Since Jason came back to the canvas over a year ago, his presence has been that of a ghost, alive, but barely living. He walked among the people who once defined his life, yet he remained untethered. Distant, a man trapped in limbo. The loss of Sam, who had moved on with Dante, left a hollow in him that neither violence nor vengeance could fill. His attempts to reintegrate into the town's intricate web of relationships and criminal entanglements only served to isolate him further. There were brief glimpses of connection, awkward encounters with Carly, tense standoffs with Sunny, and vague brushes with Anna that never took root. GH even dared to hint at a potential bond with Sasha, but that narrative never evolved, leaving Jason drifting again, emotionally dormant. Until now. The sighting of Britt has acted like a thunderclap across a still sky. In that single moment, everything Jason thought he had buried, grief, regret, longing, came roaring back. But this is not merely an emotional resurrection, it signals the beginning of something far more unpredictable. Because if Britt is alive, then nothing is as it seemed. Her death was not just another casualty in a string of tragic losses. It was a pivotal moment that marked the end of hope for Jason's heart. Her return unearths every suppressed memory. Every feeling he thought had been put to rest, and it opens the door to a story so insane, so implausible, it might very well be the show's most audacious twist yet. What if Britt never died? What if her death was staged, by someone else or by her own design? If so, who protected her? Who stood to gain from her disappearance? Was Liesel involved? Did Britt vanish to protect someone? Or to protect herself? And what of Heather, the woman held responsible for Britt's demise? Did she know Britt survived? Did she lie, or was she lied to? The layers of mystery are already forming like storm clouds, and at the eye of the hurricane stands Jason, once again pulled into a vortex he cannot control. The implications of Britt's survival stretch far beyond romance. Her return threatens to unravel multiple threads in the fabric of Port Charles. Liesel, who went into emotional freefall following Britt's death, may now find herself confronting the impossible, that her daughter allowed her to believe she had perished. If Britt faked her death, she has more to answer for than a broken heart. And if she was forced into hiding, the conspiracy likely goes deeper than anyone can yet fathom. For Jason, the resurgence of this ghost from his past is more than a chance at closure. It is a confrontation with guilt, with the failure to protect. And with the buried vulnerability that only Britt ever truly unearthed in him. She saw through the hitman facade, pierced the armor that no one else could crack. Her presence challenged him to envision a life beyond duty and danger. That vision died with her. Or so he believed. Now, as she crosses his path again, real or imagined, it threatens to destabilize his entire existence. Port Charles has never lacked for chaos, but this new development is something altogether different. It's not just shocking, it's disorienting. Jason has lived a life defined by control, of his emotions, his loyalties, and his past. Britt's return undermines all three. In her absence, Jason tried to rebuild with silence and stoicism. Now, that silence is splintered. That stoicism is exposed. And the past, no longer buried, is clawing its way to the surface. The timing could not be worse. With Sunny entangled in violent reprisals and Carly drifting into morally murky waters once again. Jason's presence has become a stabilizing force for the people around him. His quiet strength, his ruthless focus, and his cold detachment were assets in the chaos. But if Britt is truly back, those qualities may crumble beneath the weight of unresolved love and reawakened pain. He cannot lead others if he himself is unmoored. It's worth noting that this isn't the first time GH has toyed with the idea of resurrection. Jake's miraculous return after being presumed dead for years shocked the town and redefined relationships. But Britt's return is different. It's personal. It's emotional. It doesn't just rewrite a death certificate, it rewrites the trajectory of Jason's soul. In a show driven by lies, betrayals, and second chances, the reemergence of Britt, without warning, without explanation, may be the boldest stroke yet. It is not merely a twist, it's a declaration. That no death is final. That no love is ever truly lost. And that Jason, the man who has sacrificed everything for others, may finally have to face a reckoning of his own. This is no longer just a subplot in the grand machinery of GH. It is a fulcrum. A hinge upon which the future of several characters may now swing. So what happens next? Will Jason chase the ghost? Will he demand answers? Will he even be allowed to know the truth? Or will Britt's return spark an entirely new web of secrets, betrayals, and shifting allegiances? Whatever the case. One thing is certain, the sighting of Britt is not an isolated event. It's the tremor before the quake. And while GH has always thrived on twists and turns, this latest shock threatens to redefine the show's emotional core. Jason is not just on the brink of a romantic resurgence, he is on the verge of a total existential spiral. And the more he tries to regain control, the more likely it is that everything around him will fracture. Because in Port Charles, nothing stays buried forever. Not bodies. Not secrets. Not love. And certainly not Britt. Britt's unexpected return to the canvas is no mere twist of fate, it is a deliberate unraveling of a larger, hidden narrative that has been quietly evolving beneath the surface. As she emerges, seemingly back from the dead and crossing paths with Jason at the airport, what initially appears to be a moment of emotional shock swiftly reveals itself as the harbinger of a far deeper reckoning. Britt is not just a woman re-entering a city that thought she was lost forever, she's carrying a secret. A dangerous one. And that secret is poised to detonate in ways no one in Port Charles is prepared for. At the very moment Britt's silhouette reappears among the crowd, Jason is preparing to leave Port Charles with Sasha, a decision that many believed was rooted in concern, protection, or perhaps even escape. Their departure was quiet, under the radar. As if Jason was trying to put distance between Sasha and something threatening or unresolved. But fate has its own cruel timing, and Britt's sudden presence at the airport rewires everything. If Britt was meant to remain hidden, this accidental encounter shatters that illusion. And if Jason was meant to disappear into the background with Sasha, the plan has now been irrevocably compromised. The fact that Britt and Jason collide in such a charged space, between destinations, between decisions, between lives, is no accident. It is a deliberate moment of narrative realignment, a sign that the show is shifting course once more. It signals one of the most significant recalibrations General Hospital has executed in recent arcs, the redirection of Jason's emotional and moral compass. His trajectory with Sasha, whatever it was meant to be, has now been intercepted by a figure from his past who refuses to remain buried, literally and metaphorically. And what makes Britt's return even more compelling is the veiled tension that surrounds her. She is not the same woman who was attacked and left for dead. There's something guarded in her eyes. Something unfinished in the way she moves. She knows something. She's hiding something. And that secret is not just about her own survival, it may very well tie into why Jason is taking Sasha away. Could Britt know something about the real reason Sasha needs to leave town? Is her presence a warning, a plea, or a disruption? There is also the deeper question. Was their meeting at the airport truly accidental? Or was Britt tracking Jason all along? If so, why now? Why choose this moment, when Jason is most vulnerable, most uncertain, most on the edge of emotional and moral exhaustion? The answer lies not just in the resurfacing of a past relationship, but in the emergence of a new game being played, one where Britt holds a piece of the puzzle that Jason didn't know he was missing. The impact of this meeting cannot be overstated. It reconfigures the Jason-Sasha dynamic instantly. Whatever intimacy or trust that was building between them now becomes tainted by questions and divided loyalties. Jason, a man who prides himself on clarity and control, is now torn between a woman who needs him and a woman he once believed he failed. Britt's return forces him to relive the guilt of her death, the grief of lost love, and the bitter reality that he never had a chance to say goodbye. But more than that, it challenges him to question whether his current mission, involving Sasha, is even his own, or if he's being manipulated by forces greater than he understands. This is where General Hospital thrives, on the knife's edge between past and present, love and duty, truth and deception. The airport encounter is not just a reunion. It is an ignition point. A narrative recalibration that disrupts every trajectory Jason believed he had set in motion. It suggests that what's ahead is not a quiet retreat into anonymity with Sasha, but a descent back into the chaos he never truly escaped. Britt's secret, whatever it is, has the potential to collapse more than one storyline. If she was in hiding, who helped her? Who threatened her? Is her reappearance tied to Sunny's war, to Liesl's movements, or even to the deeper corruption still poisoning Port Charles from within? Could Sasha be unknowingly entangled in the very conspiracy that Britt's trying to expose? And if so, what role has Jason really been playing? Protector, pawn, or something far more dangerous? This airport moment marks a turning point not just for Jason and Britt, but for the entire balance of power in Port Charles. It's the kind of seemingly small beat that explodes outward, shaking alliances, challenging loyalties, and forcing characters to make impossible choices. Jason is now standing at a crossroad. One road leads to the protective path he thought he'd chosen with Sasha. The other leads back into a past he believed had died with Britt. But Britt is alive, and with her, the past refuses to stay buried. More than just a love story reigniting. This is a chessboard being reset. And Jason, whether he knows it or not, is already being pulled back into the game. Britt's return to Port Charles is not simply a resurrection, it's a recalibration of purpose, and one that is far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. Behind her guarded eyes and careful demeanor lies a mission, urgent, covert, and deeply personal. She's not back by coincidence, and she's certainly not back just for Jason. Britt is operating under a new directive, one that appears to be sanctioned by forces outside the visible boundaries of Port Charles, perhaps even tied to factions that remain shrouded in shadow. This mission, whatever it entails, is already reshaping the very foundation of her storyline, pushing her arc into territory more unhinged and unpredictable than ever before. And at the center of it all looms Jason, the man who once stood between her and chaos, now possibly becoming part of it. This mission, cloaked in secrecy, marks one of the clearest adjustments in the GH narrative landscape in recent memory. It's a shift not just in plot, but in emotional stakes. For Britt, her return is no longer just a matter of survival or rekindled feelings, it's a matter of execution. She's moving with intent, with an objective that seems to haunt her steps. Whatever she's planning, it's not clean. It's not simple. And it's pulling her into a spiral that's beginning to feel more like obsession than strategy. This growing fixation, on completing whatever task has brought her back, on staying ahead of those who might be tracking her, or perhaps confronting something she left unresolved, is creating a psychological fracture that's impossible to ignore. That fracture is one of the newest obsessions in General Hospital's darkening landscape. It's no longer just about secrets or lovers' reunions. It's about what happens when a character who was thought to be dead returns, not as the person they once were, but as something else entirely. Something harder, colder, more desperate. the transformation in Britt is subtle but unmistakable. Her softness has given way to calculation. Her emotions are tight, tucked beneath layers of fear and focus. She's on a mission. Yes, but she's also on the edge. And that edge is precisely where Jason finds her, or where she finds him. Their upcoming confrontation is now inevitable. Not a reunion. Not a reconciliation. A clash. A collision of lives now pointed in different, volatile directions. Jason, already spiraling after choosing to pull Sasha out of Port Charles under the guise of protection, is operating in his own gray zone. He believes he's doing the right thing, shielding Sasha from unseen dangers. But what if those dangers are connected to Britt's mission? What if Sasha is a piece of a puzzle Jason hasn't even realized he's holding, and Britt is here to retrieve it? This looming confrontation is no longer romantic. It's narrative dynamite. Britt and Jason are no longer star-crossed lovers dancing around what could have been. They are adversaries in a new game, perhaps unwilling ones. Perhaps still tied by memory and pain, but adversaries nonetheless. And that is what makes their coming collision so explosive. Because Jason, for all his control and discipline, will not handle being lied to. He will not allow emotional ambiguity to cloud his judgment, not anymore. And Britt, for all her history with him, may not be able to tell him everything. She may not be allowed to. The new direction for Britt's arc is perhaps the most unhinged it's ever been, and that is what makes it captivating. Her descent into obsession. Her need to fulfill her mission at all costs, and the tension of seeing Jason again, all of it builds toward an unavoidable standoff. And the worst part? They might still love each other. But love, in this case, is a weapon just as sharp as a lie. Just as dangerous as a truth withheld. The show is planting the seeds for something catastrophic. Britt's presence destabilizes Jason. Jason's protective instincts towards Sasha may blind him to Britt's deeper motivations. The audience is being prepared for a confrontation where everything, loyalty, grief, secrets, betrayal, converges in one final explosive encounter. And no matter who walks away from it, they won't be the same. In a town that thrives on reinvention, Britt's return is proof that no character stays on a single trajectory forever. She's no longer the woman who fell for the mob enforcer with a wounded soul. She's now the operative, the agent. The one with knowledge that could shatter lives. And Jason? He's no longer just the man trying to protect others. He's the man who has something to lose again. And that's exactly what makes him dangerous. The question isn't whether Britt and Jason will collide. It's what that collision will destroy in its wake. Jason has always been a man of missions. Tasked with eliminating threats, protecting loved ones, and maintaining order in the chaos of Port Charles, he has thrived in the shadows, where emotion is controlled, attachments are rare. And purpose is clear. But now, that purpose is beginning to unravel. The ghosts of his past are no longer content to remain buried, and the reappearance of Britt, alive, haunted, and hunted, has reignited something inside him that even he can't explain. A new mission is forming, not handed down by Sonny, not tied to mob politics or a contract, but born from instinct. From obsession, and from a connection he thought he'd lost forever. Jason must save Britt. And in doing so, he may finally save himself. This isn't just another storyline shift, it's one of the most profound narrative adjustments General Hospital has put into motion in recent memory. Jason's new mission isn't about protecting the city. It's not about business, violence, or vengeance. It's about confronting the unresolved grief that has quietly consumed him since Britt died. It's about facing the torment that followed, nightmares unspoken, guilt unprocessed, and the suffocating ache of never having closure. With Britt now reappearing under mysterious, dangerous circumstances, Jason's path becomes more than a reaction, it becomes redemption. This shift marks the rise of a new obsession, not with violence, but with salvation. Jason must find out why Britt returned, what she's hiding, and who's after her. And most of all, he must understand what her survival means, Not only for the city but for his own fractured identity. It's no longer about erasing a threat. It's about protecting a heartbeat. A woman. A chance. A love that defied logic even when it was real, and now returns in flames. Everything is different now. Jason is different. Once emotionally detached, he now finds himself compelled by emotion, gripped by an urgency that isn't professional, it's personal. The mission to save Britt may begin with intelligence, security, and combat training, but it quickly becomes a journey inward. Every step he takes to shield her from danger draws him closer to something raw, something vulnerable, something uncontrollably human. Love, once dormant in Jason's carefully guarded world, is waking up. And it burns. This isn't the Jason who walked away from Sam, nor the man who stood stoically at Carly's side through loss and loyalty. This is a Jason stripped down by obsession, unanchored by duty, and pulled toward a woman who was supposed to be gone forever. And Britt, for her part, isn't the same either. She's not just a damsel in distress, she's carrying secrets. Mission-critical intelligence, and a recklessness that's born from survival. She's tough. She's traumatized. And she's resisting the very idea of being saved. Which makes Jason's determination all the more consuming. Their connection reignites not in the safety of nostalgia, but in the furnace of shared danger. As Jason steps deeper into Britt's world, he uncovers a plot more twisted than he anticipated, a conspiracy that may involve medical corruption, shadow agencies, or even betrayals inside the WSB. But at the core of it all is Britt, marked by those who want her silenced, chased by enemies both known and unknown, and desperately trying to stay ahead of a truth she fears will destroy more than just her. Jason, drawn by instinct and haunted by emotion, becomes her only line of defense. And with every life-threatening scenario, every narrow escape, the space between them heats. Not with flirtation, not with scripted longing, but with a blistering tension born from urgency, adrenaline. And the undeniable fact that neither of them ever truly let go. They never had the chance. The story quickly stops being about saving Britt. It becomes about saving each other. Jason begins to question his loyalty to everything he once believed in, Sonny's empire, Carly's safety, even Sasha's protection plan, as his devotion to Britt escalates into something primal. Not reckless. Not blind. But real. Jason has never chased love. But now, love is chasing him, through the barrels of guns, the whispers of secrets, and the slow, devastating realization that Britt may be the only person who still sees the man beneath the mission. This emotional recalibration doesn't come without cost. Jason's inner circle begins to feel the shift. Carly grows suspicious. Sonny starts asking questions. Sasha, too, senses the fading focus in Jason's eyes. The man who once stood unwavering now stands distracted, torn between the logic of responsibility and the madness of passion. And for the first time in years, Jason doesn't care. He's willing to let go of control, because Britt is the one thing he was never supposed to have again. And now that she's back, he won't lose her a second time. The story of Jason and Britt is no longer a what-if. It's a now. And it's hot, dangerous, and spinning out of control. Their love isn't built in peace, it's forged in war. Each kiss is a rebellion. Each touch is a risk. They don't have time. They don't have clarity. All they have is the moment, and the fire that keeps pulling them closer even as the world tries to tear them apart. This isn't just a reunion. It's a resurrection. Of emotion. Of identity. Of everything Jason thought he had lost when Britt died in his arms. Only now, she's very much alive. And the mission to save her has become the most important mission of his life. Because this isn't just about love, it's about purpose. And Jason, once lost in the machinery of survival, has finally found something worth fighting for. Not an obligation. Not a code. But a woman. A feeling. A future. And it's never burned hotter.